All right, everybody. Hello and welcome. If you're just joining us, throw a message in the chat. This is Josh Zwagil, CEO and founder of My Daily Choice. We've got another amazing training. I see we've got Aaron Parker in the house from Florida. Hey, Aaron. We have Amy from Oregon, Sandy from Louisiana, Kimberly from Atlanta, Arlene from North Carolina, got Washington State, Phoenix, Indiana, Carol from Pennsylvania, Georgia. Let's see, we have Budapest in the house, Portugal. We have the Hollises from Montana. I know you guys just moved. Hey, Robert. We have Kingston, Jamaica, Mississippi, Arizona. I'm going to give it just a minute here and let everybody else get on. This is a great opportunity for you to get this training out to your team. We're going to be talking about recruiting today, one of my favorite topics. So take just a minute, send this link out to your team. This is information you don't want them to miss. It could make or break them from being a master recruiter. So if you want your team to be a master recruiter, get them on this Zoom. All right, so we're going to give it just one more minute. Again, hello and welcome, everybody. This is the second training of my series. The first one you can actually find in the back office. We talked about your mindset or your mentality and how to use the 10 and 2 system. This training is going to be specifically about recruiting. So I'm going to give it about 30 more seconds, and then we're gonna kick this thing off. And oh, by the way, tomorrow is our corporate webinar. So make sure you're promoting that. Make sure you attend the corporate webinar, because I'm going to be sharing with you guys a new product. We have a couple cool promotions and some announcements and different things that are happening in the company that you will want to know about. So make sure you promote that webinar tomorrow. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, everybody, hello and welcome. This is Josh Zwagil. I see we have people tuning in from all over the world. So, hey, everybody, thank you for coming on to this webinar. So my topic today is becoming a master recruiter, and I'm going to share some things that have worked for me as a distributor in the field, and just give you guys some things that may unlock recruiting for you. And before I get into some of the specifics, let's just talk about recruiting first. Like like in network marketing, there really is only one door to the money. There really is. Like, there's a lot of different training out there about how to be great at network marketing and how to be successful. But there's one activity that has, and will always be the door to the money, which is recruiting. That's bringing in new customers and new affiliates into your business, new energy, new blood, new sales. That is the fastest way to create momentum in your team. And that's like, if you're brand new, your recruiting is really like 10 and 2. That's what you're focused on, getting your 10 customers, getting 2 affiliates. But even if you're a top leader in the business, if you're a 5K, a 25K, a 100K, even a super affiliate, okay, you should be recruiting. You should be personally recruiting. And it's kind of funny, because I talk to some, leaders all the time, and even top leaders in the business, they totally forget. They forget that is the activity that creates momentum in your team. If you're ever stuck, if you're ever unhappy about your rank, if you're ever unhappy about your income, you need to get back into phase 1, which is recruiting. That's how you had your success. You became a top leader because you were in phase 1 and recruiting. And we're going to talk a little bit about, slipping into management mode and different things that put the brakes on recruiting. But that is one of the most important activities. If you want your team to recruit, but they never see you recruiting, they never see you on the leaderboard, they never see you personally sponsoring, good luck. Good luck motivating your team to recruit, because they don't see you do it. If it was so good, you would be doing it as the leader. And so that's one of the reasons why, like in my first network marketing company, when I was a distributor, I always tried to be at the top of the leaderboard every month. Even when I was the top rank in the company, I wanted my team to know that regardless of rank and income, that they should always be bringing in new business, you know? And I see there's a lot of people saying lead by example, lead, don't follow. Exactly. You have to lead by example. If your team never sees you doing it, they're never going to do it as well. Just keep that in mind, that it is the most important activity in this business. It is the door to the money. You can recruit your way out of any problem in your business. And also, when you're in phase one, like, you know, I know like Jen trains a lot about the law of attraction and the law of vibration. And like, it really is a different vibe. When you are in phase one and you're recruiting, it's almost like it becomes easier and easier, and more people are attracted to you, because it's like you're in your element, you know? And so when it works and when it's happening, there's nothing like it. But also, when you're not recruiting and you haven't been putting any energy at all into talking to new people about your business, there's also nothing like it, because it will slow down your momentum. Your paycheck can decrease. And there's nothing more exciting than bringing new people into the business. So let's get into some specifics. I'm going to give you guys some important steps and things that are really important to understand about recruiting. So the first one that we're going to talk about is this: only do what makes you money. I know it's like, you're probably thinking like, wow, Josh, like, of all the things you could tell me, that's what you're going to tell me. But believe it or not, people in this industry do things that do not make them money all the time. And not only do they do things that don't make them money, they spend the majority of their time doing things that don't make them money. So only do what makes you money. And what makes you money in this industry is talking to new people, getting new people to take a look at your business. Like, let's say you were working a sales job, okay? And let's say you're selling cell phones, just as an example. Your goal is going to be to talk to a certain number of people every day. Like, you know, there's sales quotas. How many prospects did you talk to every day? You have to hit those quotas in order to sell the most amount of cell phones. And so network marketing is no different. You have to have almost like a daily quota, or like a daily way of operating, where you're going to be talking to a lot of people. You have to only do what makes you money, bringing in new customers, bringing in new affiliates. And the way to do that is by talking to a lot of new people. And so one of the steps, and this will be good for if you're brand new in the business, or if you're a top leader, one of the steps is you have to remove all of your non-sales clutter. All of your non-sales clutter. Like, there's a bunch of things that could be filling up your day currently that's not making you money. And to me, that's just clutter, and you need to get rid of it. And so, like, if you're somebody that right now you're pulled in a million directions and you got all this stuff on your plate and you're spending all of your energy and you're just thinking to yourself like, wow, I'd really love to be talking to new people about my business, but I have this going on and I have this going on and I got to call this person and my team and I got this and this and this. You know, you need to get rid of the things that are taking your time and energy away from what gets you paid. And I see Robert Hollis said, always dealing with distractions. You know, that's exactly right. If you're always dealing with distractions, you don't have time to talk to new people about your business. And so those are things that you have to immediately cut out, because if you're going to be in the mindset of recruiting, you need to have dedicated time every day to just recruiting, just talking to new people, just creating exposures. And so there's, you know, like in network marketing, there's this weird phenomenon where people tend to avoid recruiting. They avoid talking to new people, and they get sucked into certain activities that don't make you money. And I'm going to talk about what some of those activities are. Researching. somebody that is a constant researcher. They are always researching everything. People that are just planning and preparing, learning every product, researching every ingredient. Now, I'm not saying that don't ever do those things, but how much time are you spending on those activities? To me, those are all non-money making activities. I would never train my team to focus on those things. If I'm the upline, I want my team focused on exposures. I want them focused on introducing new people to the business. And so all of the things that take them away from that, like preparing to work, but never getting to the work, that's another phenomenon where it's like somebody's always preparing to work. They're the most prepared person. They're the most trained person, but they never get to the work. They never get into action mode, right? So if I was the upline leader, I would cut all of those things out of my personal schedule, but I would also go to my team and make sure that my team's just not wrapped up in doing things that aren't making money. And sometimes, you need to have that conversation with your leaders, which is like, what are you spending your time on right now? How many new people have you brought into the business this month? How come you're not on the leaderboard? What can I help you with to get you 3 to 4 new people in your business? And so that's a really important conversation to have with your team. Now, what are the money making activities? And I'll tell you what some of those are. Prospecting. Anytime you're prospecting to new people, that's a money-making activity. Presenting, if you're doing a presentation, 3-way calls, Zoom calls, launch calls, supporting a grand opening or an official launch. Anything that is exposing new people to your business is a money-making activity. Anything that's not is not a money-making activity. And so I see some people saying, wow, I've been wasting time learning the business and products. Yeah, it's like ignorance on fire will always beat knowledge on ice. Like knowledge in this business is important. It's good. It's good to be knowledgeable. It's good to be educated. It's good to be armed with information. But you learn those things over time. You learn that over time. You don't have to be an expert day one in order to make money in My Daily Choice or in network marketing. Like, I'll give you an example. When I got into my first company, I wasn't an expert. This was the product that we were selling, by the way. I didn't know anything about fuel treatments. I didn't know anything about how an engine works. I didn't know anything about organometallic compounds. And a lot of people in the business focused on that. They focused on the technical aspects of the business and the products. They wanted to learn the compensation plan inside out. I didn't know anything about compensation plans or how they work. I figured if I put volume in, I'm going to get paid. And so I focused on volume. How much volume can I put in? I didn't focus on, all the intricacies of the plan. And even when people would ask me, I say, I have no idea, but my goal is to hit, blue diamond this month, so I was ignorant on fire. Like, I was 18 years old. I was hungry. I was aggressive, and I didn't know any of the information. I was just getting people to the information. And so just keep that in mind, like over analyzing the business, over training. You don't need to do that in this business. You just need to focus on money-making activities. And so the next one is those who expose the most, make the most. Okay, those who expose the most make the most. And really, this business is a numbers game. I'm sure you've heard that before. And I talked about this a little bit on my last training, which is if you talk to a lot of people every day, you're going to be able to make a lot of money. And it works the opposite way too, where if you are not talking to a lot of people, like let's say you only talk to a few people, you're going to make a little bit of money. And so there's a direct correlation to the amount of income you're earning and your rank and your volume to the number of people you're talking to on a daily basis. That's what I love so much about network marketing is you're in control. Just all you have to do is up the number of people you're talking to on a daily basis. And so my goal was always to build a massive pipeline of people. I always wanted to have a huge pipeline, and I was a 100 person per day kind of guy. I always wanted to get to 100 people a day. And I figure that 100 people a day is 3,000 people in a month. Like, I'm going to recruit some people if I can get to 100 people a day. So that was my goal, is to always build a massive pipeline. And it's interesting because I talk to leaders all the time, and, you know, if they're like, hey, I'm stuck in my business, the first thing that I look at is how many people have they personally enrolled into the business in the last 90 days, because that says a whole lot about where they are in their business. Because if that number is like one person in 90 days, it's like you have 90 full days where you could be talking to 50 to 100 people per day, but you only personally sponsored one person in 90 days. That means, to me, that leader is not talking to enough people. That's it. They're not talking to enough people, because if they play the numbers and they talk to enough people, they would have recruited way more than one person. And so keep that in mind for the top leaders on this call. You're working with people in your team. Just look at how many people they're personally sponsoring. That says a lot about how many people they're talking to on a daily basis. If you want to increase the number of people they're enrolling, just increase the number of people that they're talking to. And some people are saying guilty. Look, it happens. You know, it happened to me too, where like I had to realize that I wasn't talking to enough people. And I'll tell you in this next point what the main problem for me was. And it was this: I slipped into management mode in my group, and it happens to every network marketing leader. It happens to every leader. You slip into management mode. And I'll tell you what, this is, I've been thinking a lot about this whole management mode thing. This is the fastest way to slow down your momentum, is by slipping into management mode. Because here's what I've realized. Leaders' most productive months are their first 90 days. Like, you know, when you first bring a leader in, there's a certain energy that they have their first 60 to 90 days. It's like they have this fire burning in them, and they're going crazy on social media. They're talking to 1 million people. They're setting the world on fire. They're at the top of the leaderboard. They're bringing in all these people. And then after those first like 2 to 3 months, now they shift their energy into managing their team. Now you're a manager. Now you're in a support role. You forgot about recruiting. You forgot what got you there. You forgot what created all the momentum. And now you're spending all of your energy into managing your team and no energy into recruiting. And so my message to leaders that are in that place right now is to get back into phase one. Get back into phase one, which is recruiting. You can't slip into management mode and expect your team to grow and to flourish, because your team will feed off of energy from you bringing in new business. Okay, so like if you're spending all of your energy right now being a support role, you just sit back and you wait for your team to call you every day, right? You sit back and you're like, oh, here's Sally called me, Robert called me, this person called me, and you're just waiting for your team to call you with whether it's problems or they need help or they have questions. You're in management mode. You're not spending any energy on the one activity, the one door to the money, which is bringing new people into your group. So get back into phase one. You have to almost act like you're brand new. Act like it's day one. Maybe you have to rebuild your list. Maybe you have to schedule, your grand. Maybe you never had a grand opening and you need to have another grand opening or another launch. But it's almost like you have to create that fire again, so that you can start to have a new wave of momentum in your team. We talked about this on the last training, which was become a master sorter. And so where you spend, I'm not going to go into too much depth on this because we talked about it on the last call, but where you spend your time and energy is really critical. And if you master the art of sorting, you can recruit more people than people who are not sorting. And really, sorting is all about speed. It's letting people make their own decision. And so as you're going through the recruiting process, you're going to come across like 3 different types of people. One person's going to be super positive. That person is entrepreneurial. You know, they're excited. They love what they've seen. They're positive. They're optimistic. Those people usually are ready to go. They're ready to sign up. And you want to try to spend the majority of your time and energy working with people like that, people that have a fire, people that are positive, people that are engaged, people that, they saw a presentation, they see it, they're excited, they have high energy. Those are the people you should be spending your time with. Now, the second person is going to have a lot of questions. They're going to want to know everything. They're very technical. They want to know all the details. They have a gazillion questions. Those people aren't bad for your business, but they're very time consuming. And so my recommendation with those people is to send them into your website, let them get their questions answered, and ultimately let them make a decision for themselves. And then you will come across the third person, which is somebody who's negative. You will come across, when you're sorting, you're going to come across a lot of negative people. That's just the way it is, especially when you're brand new in the business. Now, as you rank up, as you make more money, as you become more successful, as you build a name for yourself, you come across less negative people, but early on, you come across more negative people. And so those are kind of the 3 buckets that I've seen as people are going to fit into one of those 3 buckets. Either they're positive, they have a lot of questions, or they're just negative and this is not for them. And so positive people, you direct them where to enroll. Questions, answer a few questions, send them to your website for more details. And then the negative people, you just skip. You don't have to fight with them. You don't have to prove them wrong. You have nothing to prove. Don't waste your time on people that are negative. I mean, if you try to convince somebody to join who doesn't want to join, now you got to convince them to work. Now you have to convince them to stay on subscription. Now you have to convince them to stop being negative. Okay, so those are really the 3 buckets. But the key is learning how to sort. It's all about speed. Talk to a lot of people and speed through them. Get them the information quickly and let them make a decision whether this is right for them or not. We talked about, I'm going to give you 2 more things that we talked about on last training because I want to expand on those just a little bit. But it's the next one is building a list. We can't forget the power in building a list. And what's interesting is when people first join, they build their list. But list building is not a one-time thing. And write this down if you're taking notes. List building is not a one-time thing. For some reason, people think that they're only supposed to build a list once. I was never taught that. I was taught that list building is a daily activity. It is something you do every day. As you talk to people, you're building your list. You're always adding to your list. It's not like you do it once when you join and then you never do it again. Okay, this is something that you should be doing constantly, is because here's the thing, the bigger your list is, the more people you can recruit. The smaller your list is, you're going to recruit less people. So why wouldn't you want to constantly add to your list? Always add to your list. And so my goal was always to have at least a list of 100 people. And there's a lot of ways that you could brainstorm, jog your memory to find people to put on this list. Like, who do you know right now that wants to be healthy? Who do you know who's taking supplements? Who do you know who takes CBD? Who's posted about CBD? Who do you know that wants to save money on gas? That should be everybody. That should be your whole neighborhood, all your friends, your coworkers. Like, everybody wants to save money on gas. Who likes to travel? Who has pets? Who wants to lose weight? Who likes making money? Who's driven? Who's motivated? Who's entrepreneurial? Go through your phone, go through social media, go through your email, and just start like mapping out your list. Put enough people down. Don't prejudge anybody. But this list is going to be really important because you're going to want to continue to add to it and, just build a bigger pipeline. I'm working with a leader right now. We just brought over some amazing leaders in the company, and he sent me a video of his list. And he's like, he has a notebook, and he's just flipping the pages in his notebook, and all you just see is names and phone numbers. That's old school, but hey, it works. These guys are already on the top of the leaderboard. They've been in the business for 4 days. They're already ranking up, but they're building a list, and they're contacting everybody on their list. The next one is schedule a grand opening. If you haven't had a grand opening yet, or you haven't had a launch, you've never done a Facebook Live or a presentation about the business, now is the time. You need to tell people you're in business. Like imagine you started like a McDonald's franchise. You know, you spend $500,000 on the franchise. You know, you get everything set up. You hire your employees. You get all your inventory. And then all you do is you open your doors. You don't have a grand opening. You don't tell people. You don't do anything. You just open your doors. A lot of people treat network marketing like that. They sign up and then they post their link once, and that's it. That is the wrong way to build this business. You have to launch like there's no tomorrow. You know, you have to like get loud about your business. You got to tell people. You got to like scream it from the rooftop that you're open for business. You just started a business in My Daily Choice. You got all these amazing products. You're open for business. Who wants to come make money with you? Who wants to come shop with you? Like, you need to get loud about what you're doing. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. Do a Facebook Live, do a live presentation, do a live stream, do a Zoom call. But the point is schedule it and invite your list to it. So you have to schedule your grand opening. You know, first you have to build your list, then you schedule your grand opening, and then you're going to invite your list to your grand opening. And so those are some important tips when it comes to recruiting. And what I'm going to tell you now is kind of like a universal system. It doesn't matter what team you're in. It doesn't matter what your upline teaches. It doesn't matter what presentation format you're using. This is really the sales formula. All kinds of presentations, tips, and tricks will really fit into these 3 steps for recruiting. And so the first step is the invite. Okay, it's invite. Like, the most fundamental skill set in network marketing is inviting somebody to take a look. Okay, write that down. Inviting somebody to take a look. That's all you're doing, is you're inviting somebody to take a look at the presentation, to take a look at the company, to take a look at the products. Okay, there is, like, if you want to know the secret to success or the secret to recruiting, it's this. You have to learn these 3 steps. Step 1 is inviting them. Step 2 is the presentation. And then step 3 is enrollment. So invite, present, enroll. This is the universal like system for recruiting. You know, every leader has different like presentations that they're using. For instance, there may be a live stream presentation that's working really good for a team, or there may be a shareable cart that's working really good for another team. But just know that recruiting falls into these 3 steps: the invite, the presentation, and then enrollment. And if you do these steps out of order, you're going to really struggle with recruiting. You have to do them in order, and write that down. You have to do them in order. You cannot do them out of order. So you can't, like, imagine this. Let's say I wanted to do it out of order, right? And let's say I'm trying to recruit, I'll just use Robert Hollis because I see him in the chats. I'm trying to recruit Robert Hollis. I don't invite him to take a look. He doesn't see a presentation. I take him straight to enrollment. Here's the enrollment form, Robert. Please enroll in the business right now. Robert's going to say, well, no, I haven't seen anything. I don't know anything about what you're doing. I'm just not interested. You know, like, if you went straight to enrollment, you're going to like piss some people off because they're going to feel like you're spamming them. They haven't even expressed that they're interested. They haven't seen the presentation. You're just trying to slam them in. You're trying to get them to enroll right away before they've seen anything about the business. And it goes the same if you're just sending the presentation out to people. You haven't done the first step of inviting. People want to be invited. They don't want to just be slammed into a presentation. So the invite step is inviting someone to take a look. It's piquing interest. It's creating curiosity. It's building rapport. And, you know, there's that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So when I'm recruiting, I'm a master at building rapport. That's all I like to do is build rapport first, because I want them to know that I'm a friendly and I actually care about, you know, the things I'm asking them. For instance, how's your family? How's life? How's it going? Are you still in this company? Like, are you still working here? Like, I want to know about their life, especially if it's somebody that I haven't connected with in a minute. You know, if it's somebody I haven't talked to in a long time, before I even talk about my daily choice, before I send them a link, before I send them a presentation, I am building rapport first. Building rapport first so that I have a relationship that I'm building. And also during that step of building rapport, you learn things about their life that are important in the recruiting process. For instance, if I'm building rapport with Robert and I say, hey, Robert, how are things going? And he's like, you know what? I just lost my job. You know, I lost my job and I'm a little freaked out because I need to like quickly find a way to make some income. Because I was building rapport, I learned that piece of information about what's going on in Robert's life. And, you know, Jen talked about this on one of her old recruiting videos, that, you know, you have to be almost like a consultant that's solving a problem. You know, it's like if, you know, like whoever you're talking to, they may have a big problem in their life. It could be time related. It could be income related. It could be job security, you know, and you don't know what those problems are unless you're building rapport and finding out about your prospect. Okay, so that's really my first step before I invite them, is I want to build rapport first. And then it's all about piquing interest, creating curiosity, and the invite. And there's a couple different ways to invite, and there's a lot of different ways. I'll tell you the ones that have worked for me. Okay, so the first one that's worked for me is this line I use all the time, and write this down. Have you ever thought about? Okay, have you ever thought about? And so at the end of that sentence, there's a couple different lines that I'll use. But like, I'll give you an example. If somebody says that, like in the example with Robert, that Robert has, like Robert says he lost his job. I'll say to Robert, have you ever thought about starting a home-based business? Have you ever thought about starting a home-based business? And that is it's a way to pique interest, because after you say something like that, Robert may say, really, how do you do that? You know, or yeah, I've thought about it, but I've never found an opportunity to do that. And so I use that as a way to pique interest. And it doesn't just have to be about starting a home-based business. I'll give you another example. I went to the UFC fight. I was in a Uber. Took a Uber, or actually it was a Lyft. I took a Lyft to go to T-Mobile Arena. And one of the questions that I asked the guy was, how are you dealing with gas prices here? Like, is it hurting your paycheck driving Lyft? And first thing he started doing was complaining about gas prices, because he was like, Josh, listen, I used to drive 8 hours a day to make, what I was making before, but now I have to drive 12 hours a day to make the same amount of money I made driving 8 hours a day because of the cost of gas. And I asked, well, have you ever thought about getting paid to help people save money on gas? And he looked at me like sideways, like, that'd be amazing. What do you have for that? And so I started telling him about Fuel Factor X, and he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I'll use it. He's like, and I can sign up all the Lyft drivers, and all my friends drive Uber. Like, this is amazing. And that was all from just a simple question. Have you ever thought about getting paid to help people save money on gas? Like, Lyft drivers and Uber drivers, they're in the car for 8 to 12 hours a day talking to people, and they're all friends, and so that's just a simple question that I asked to pique interest. Have you ever thought, if I was talking to somebody that was into fitness, like let's say like my Muay Thai coach as an example, all he does is train people to get into shape with cardio and martial arts and all this stuff. Hey, have you ever thought about getting paid to help people lose weight? You know, so same starting sentence, have you ever thought about, but I'm plugging in different things that are relatable to that person, like saving money on gas, losing weight, starting a home-based business. So that's one thing that I've used a lot because it's super easy for me to remember. I'm always thinking, have you ever thought about? And then I just plug in what would make sense to that person as I'm having a conversation. Another way you can do an invite is by telling people that you found something. And so as an example, it could be like this. Hey, Robert, listen, I found something. I found something that I'm so excited about. I think it's going to be massive. And I would love for you to take a look. When do you have 20 minutes? Now, notice I didn't say, look, let me tell you all about My Daily Choice. It has the most amazing compensation plan in the world. We have all these products. I didn't say any of that. All I'm doing is piquing interest and telling Robert, listen, I found something. I'm super excited about it. And I would really appreciate if you would take a look. I'd love for you to check this out. Do you have 20 minutes to take a look? And so this invite step, again, is super important because you're getting their permission for the presentation. If you skip this step and you go right to the presentation, you're missing the most important step in the recruiting process. Is when you pique their interest and you invite them, that's what hooks them into wanting to see the presentation. So you have have you ever thought about, you have, hey, I found something. Another one you can use is, I've launched a business. Hey, Robert, how's it going? Listen, I just launched a new business. You're one of the first people that I thought of. I think you would smash this. I'd love for you to take a look. When do you have 20 minutes? And you can put all this in your own words. You don't have to use exactly what I've said, but you can use, I found something. I just launched a new business. And have you ever thought about? And the key, again, is making sure you're piquing their interest, you're building rapport, you're creating curiosity, and you're getting them basically ready to take a look. Now, once, the prospect will tell you, they'll say, yes, yeah, I'm ready to take a look, or yeah, I have 20 minutes. And then you move on to step 2. And so if they haven't told you that, then you don't need to move on to step 2, because there's no point in sending somebody a presentation who's not ready to, who wants to present to somebody that doesn't want to take a look, or they're at least not telling you, hey, Josh, I want to take a look at this. So once somebody has told you that, then you can move on to step 2, which is the presentation. All right, so now there's 2 outcomes that come out of the presentation. One outcome is you can get a customer, somebody that just wants to, buy the products. And another outcome is you can get a business builder or an affiliate, somebody that wants to buy products, but also build a business. And so for me, when you look at all the tools and the systems that My Daily Choice has, for customers, if somebody's more interested in being a customer, I want to send them into the My Daily Choice corporate website, because in that website, that's where they can read about all the brands, read about all the products. That's where they can shop for everything. And so that's where I'm going to send the customer as the next step. And so after somebody has watched the presentation and they're like, hey, you know what, this is not for me. I don't really want to build a business right now. And I'm like, well, would you at least become a customer? Are there any other products that, what did you like about what you saw? Did you like the products? And so I'm going to send that person into the corporate replicated website. Now, business builders or affiliates, I'm going to send them into the video tour, the capture page, the video tour, or I'm going to send them the presentation through the MDC mobile app. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do for somebody that's more interested on the business side. And there's a lot of other formats for a presentation, not just these tools. Like, for instance, a live stream is a presentation. A live event, if it's an in-person event, I know Candace's team has done Super Saturdays and opportunity presentations in person. It could be a one-on-one. It could be an office meeting. It could be the grand opening or the official launch. All of these are formats of a presentation. But if you don't have any of that happening, then use the video tour or the presentation in the app. And so really your goal in this step is to get the prospect to the presentation, get them the information. And my mentor used to tell me, Josh, let the presentation be the presentation. And that always used to piss me off because, you know, I wanted to tell them everything. I was so excited. I wanted to tell them all about the business. But really what works the best in this industry is letting the presentation be the presentation. Like you're the messenger. You're not the message. Let them watch the presentation because, you know, your step is really after this, which is guiding them and directing them inside of the enrollment process. So you pique their interest, you invite them to take a look, they watch the presentation, and now you're into enrollment. And so the first question that I always like to ask, and I would definitely write this down, is what did you like best about what you saw? What did you like best about what you saw? Because I want to know what's getting them excited. If I don't know what's getting them excited, I may go down a rabbit hole talking about something that they're just not interested in. So I need to know what their hot buttons are. What did you like best about what you saw? And some will say a specific product. Maybe they say, look, it's the fuel factor X, saving money on gas. Or maybe they say, I really love the compensation plan. Or maybe they say, I really love the technology and the systems. And so whatever they say is what I'm going to relate with them about. So for instance, if I said, hey, Robert, what did you like best about what you saw? And he says, look, I really love fuel factor X. I'm not going to say, well, let me tell you about cosmecology. And he's like, well, I'm really interested in fuel factor X. Well, let me tell you about CBD, you know, and I'm trying to tell him everything about something he's not interested in. He's telling me, Josh, this is what is getting me in the door, and I'm focused on something completely different. That's why people have trouble recruiting in this industry. These are like, if you were to break recruiting down as a science, these are some of the things that like will make or break the difference. What did you like best about what you saw? And Robert says, I really love the fuel factor X. I want to relate with him about this product. Robert, I love fuel factor X as well. Let me tell you what this has done in my vehicle. I went from 14 miles a gallon to 19 miles a gallon. I got an extra 25%. I'm saving $20 to $30 per fill up. And then Robert's like, oh my God, I can't wait to get my hands on it. And so I'm relating with him about what he said he liked best. Or he says, I really like the comp plan. I start talking about the comp plan. Let me tell you why I love the comp plan. You know, we get paid weekly. There's 7 different ways to get paid. What I love is that the company's paying up to 85% of business volume, where most companies don't pay anything close to that. Or Robert says, I really love all the systems that you have. Let me tell you how the systems are helping me in my business. I came from another business where there were no systems. I come over here to My Daily Choice. I get all this stuff, capture pages, shareable. I get everything for free. My team, you know, one of their biggest things that they love is that the company doesn't charge for systems, right? So you're relating with what the prospect tells you that their hot button is. And, you know, I see this a lot in network marketing where, like, when I've done 3-way calls with leaders and top leaders, 7-figure earners, you know, the leader is focused on something that the prospect is not focused on. They're not focused on the same thing. So you have the prospect telling the leader, hey, this is what I'm really interested in. And the leader's totally focused on something else. And so you have to relate with your prospect. And then really the last step is now you're guiding them and you're directing them to enrollment. And so, you know, it's, hey, are you interested in being a customer or affiliate? Are you ready to become a customer or affiliate? And one of the things that people mess up in this step is they start beating around the bush. What do you think? Don't ask them what they think. How are you feeling? Remember, you have to have posture when you're recruiting. You have to have posture. You have to have confidence. You have to have massive belief. Don't ask people what they think. Don't ask people how they're feeling. Ask them if they are ready to become a customer or an affiliate. I don't, like, for me, when I'm recruiting, I want to know if they're ready. You know, they'll tell me if they have questions, but I want to know if they're ready. And as soon as you start saying, how are you feeling? What are you thinking? And now you've got them into think mode. They're thinking about all the questions they didn't have because you're asking them, what are they thinking? You want to ask them, are you ready? You ready to get started? And that tip alone, if you tweak that in your recruiting process, you will recruit way more people into your business, because a lot of people are asking people what they think and how are they feeling. And, you know, you just need to ask people after you've asked them, what did you like best about what you saw? Then it's, hey, are you ready to get started? After you related them, are you ready to get started? And believe it or not, when you ask people that with confidence, they will tell you, I'm ready to get started as an affiliate. Where do I go? And you've just successfully completed the recruiting process. And so these 3 steps, super important: the invite, the presentation, enrollment. What did you like best about what you saw? Are you ready to get started? And here's some other tips. You know, we always get objections in this industry. There's a lot of objections out there, but the 3 most common ones that I've gotten are, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and I'm not good at sales. Those are the 3. You can throw a comment in the chat if you've gotten one of those 3 objections before. I'm sure you have. I don't have the time, I don't have the money, not good at sales. And so when people say those things, usually they don't understand network marketing yet. Seasoned leaders, you'll never hear like a 6-figure or 7-figure earner say those things. These are only people that maybe have had a bad experience with network marketing, or they're currently working a job. They just don't really understand the industry, because if you understood the industry, you would know that like, this is a business that can give you time. It's a business that can create income, and you don't have to be good at sales to make money in network marketing. So when people say, Josh, I don't have the time, I just say, hey, that's exactly why people are getting started in this. And that's why people are starting their home-based business right now, is because they want more time freedom. And when you help people realize that, it's like a light bulb goes off. Or when they say, I don't have the money, one thing that you should be leveraging is that there is a free option in MDC. If somebody tells you I don't have the money, you say, well, look, good news, you can get started for free in My Daily Choice, whether you have any money or not. And you can just start sharing your link and start creating income right away. And now you're their hero, because they're not having to stretch to come up with money. You just got them in for free, and they can start, you know, recruiting right away. Now, some people say they don't have the money, but they actually do have the money. It's that what you're presenting to them doesn't seem important enough yet, so they haven't found the money. Because my story, like, I really didn't have the money when I got started in network. It was $600 to get started. I had negative in my bank account. And so I sold some of the stuff that I had. I sold my musical equipment, and then I got a loan from my uncle, and I put that money together and got started for $600. So I was somebody that really didn't have the money, but I found the money because I believed that I could achieve something in that business. And so you can leverage the free option, but just keep that in mind. And then, I'm not good at sales. I love this one. The way I respond to it is, well, you know, good news is you don't have to be good at sales to make money. Just refer people like you do to anything that you like. And so I've learned over the last 15 years in this industry that these are all what I call surface objections. Like, on the surface, it's an objection, but the real objection has, and will always be belief. Because if people believed that they could have time freedom, financial freedom, help people save money, help people make money, they could travel the world, if they knew the benefits of what network marketing could do for them, there wouldn't be any objection. Nobody would have an objection at all. And so in your recruiting process, keep that in mind, that if you can show them that they can do this, if you can help them believe that they can do the same thing that you're doing, there will be no objection. That is just a surface objection until they have that belief, which pushes them into making a decision and committing to doing the business. All right, I got two more important things I'm going to tell you guys about for recruiting, and then we'll wrap this this webinar up. Edification. Hopefully you guys know what edification is, but believe it or not, this is where a lot of people screw up. And it's really weird that, like, this is like one of the first things I learned, what was edification. But so many leaders, even top ranked leaders, suck at edification. They suck at it. And if you can become a master at edification, it will change everything in your business. It'll make or break the difference for you being a master recruiter or not recruiting anybody at all. Okay. And here's what it boils down to. A leader, an upline leader, if you have somebody you're working with, an upline leader that has been properly edified will become an expert to close your prospects. Proper edification gives your upline leader the right credibility, and it positions them as the expert to enroll your prospects with you. And it's still shocking to me that people don't work on this at all in network marketing. It's like people forget that edification and promoting people is what it's all about. And so let me give you some examples of bad edification. And then I'll give you an example of good edification. Bad edification. If I'm working, and I've been picking on Robert, so I'll keep picking on Robert. So let's say Robert's my upline. I'm working with Robert and I'm going after Sally. Bad edification. Hey, Sally, want to introduce you to Robert. Robert's my upline. I know you're going to crush it in this business. You're so amazing, Sally. And here's Robert. He can answer any questions you have. I didn't say anything about Robert. I didn't say who he was. I didn't say anything about his accolades. I didn't say what he means to me or my team. I said none of that. Sally has no idea who Robert is, except for the fact that he's my upline. Or I could say it like this: Sally, Robert. Robert, Sally, wanted to connect you guys. Horrible edification. So when you're edifying the person that you're working with, whether it's upline, downline, okay, you need to build them up. You need to build them up like they're a freaking movie star. That's how I did it. When I was in that recruiting process of inviting somebody to take a look, presentation, and the enrollment process, sometimes I needed extra credibility to recruit that prospect. And so I would bring in my upline, but I would edify and promote my upline to the point where the prospect was basically begging to talk to the person, because I wanted the upline to have the credibility and to position them as the expert. And I always use this when people ask me a bunch of questions. I'd say, look, I don't know any of that, but let me introduce you to this guy named Ken. Ken is going to teach you everything you need to know about the business. This guy is incredible. He's built a team of tens of thousands of people around the world. He's an amazing father. He's an amazing husband. You know, you start edifying and building up the person you're working with. So your prospect's like, oh my God, I can't wait to talk to that person. And so who is the person you're working with? Where are they from? What kind of success have they had? Why did you join with them? What are their leadership qualities? What's their commitment to helping your team succeed? So as an example, listen, I want you to meet Robert Hollis. This guy is a legend in the industry. And I'm not sure if you know this, but he's created like 50 millionaires in the industry. He's built a team of more than 750,000 people globally. And not only is this guy a rock star when it comes to networking, but he's a servant leader. That's why I picked him. That's why I joined his team. He takes everybody's phone calls. He does weekly trainings. He's 100% committed to helping us blow this thing up. And I want to introduce you to him. If I edified Robert like that and you were the prospect, you would be much more inclined to want to talk to him. But the problem is most people spend zero time on edification. They forgot They forgot that that's like one of the most important fundamental basic skills in network marketing is edification. And if you're an upline leader, you know, you're going to edify your team back. So if I did that with Robert's job as the upline is to now give me edification, because now the prospect will realize there's credibility. It's like third-party credibility from the upline. And now that person just gave me the credibility that I needed, that I was lacking with my prospect. And so edification is super important. You have to, like, if you're working with people, you know, and your upline and your team's using you for three-way calls, you have to master edification. The next thing is follow-up. Let's talk a little bit about follow-up, because this is one of my secrets to success, is I'm a master when it comes to follow-up. And here's the thing that I learned, and write this down if you can. Not following up is costing you a fortune. It's costing you a fortune. I can't tell you how much money you're losing by not following up. And here's why. 2%, okay? 2% of sales are made on the first contact. The first time you talk to somebody, 2% of sales are made. So that means you have a 2% chance the first time you talk to a new prospect. You have a 2% chance. If you're closing people on that first attempt, amazing. But 2% of sales are made there. 3% of sales are made on the second contact, the second time you reach out to a person. And then you go to the third time you contact them, 5% of sales. So you went from 2% to 3% to 5%. Notice how each time you're talking to somebody, your chances are increasing. The statistics go up. So you went from a 2% chance to a 5% chance. Then the fourth time you contact somebody, it goes to 10%. 10% of sales are made the fourth time you contact somebody. And then the 5th to the 12th time, so 5 to 12, the 5th to 12th time you contact somebody, 80% of sales are made there. 80%. That's a big difference. So 2% the first time you contact somebody versus 80% the 5th to 12th time you followed up. And so when I say follow-up is costing you a fortune, it is, because 90% of people give up after the first attempt. First time you contact somebody, after that, you never talk to them again because they didn't sign up or they weren't interested at the time. I don't stop following up until somebody blatantly tells me, no, I'm not interested. And even when people tell me, no, I'm not interested, I'll hit them again. I'll give them 6 months and I'll contact them again, because I know that times change for people. So, you know, maybe it wasn't the right timing for that person right now, but 6 months later, it could be perfect timing. And so I kind of have two pipelines. I have a kind of like a short-term pipeline and then a long-term pipeline. Short-term are all the new people I'm working on. And in my long-term pipeline, these are people I've already contacted, and I'm scheduling when I'm going to follow up with that person. That could be 3 months later. It could be 6 months later. And I'll tell you, one of the new leaders in the company that's lighting it on fire, I met him 9 years ago. 9 years ago, I met him. And at the time, like we were just getting My Daily Choice off the ground. I stayed in touch with him, followed up maybe 2 or 3 years later. Wasn't a good time for him. He was doing other things, followed up again. 9 years later, he joined the business, setting it on fire now in My Daily Choice. But I stayed in touch with him for 9 years. Okay, 9 years. Most people give up after the first contact. Plain and simple. 2% of sales are made in the first contact. So after you've contacted them once, you cross them off your list. I don't cross them off my list until I'm blatantly told no. And again, even when I'm told no, I'm still going to follow up with them in maybe 6 months. Things will change. And so there's 3 ways to follow up. You can do an email, you can do a text message, or you can give them a call. And there's a couple things that I do in the follow-up. One is if they never responded to me, like if I took them, let's say I invited them, gave them the presentation, and then I just never heard from them. My follow-up is going to be, hey, Robert, this is Josh, just checking in. And I wanted to see if you had a chance to watch the presentation yet. That's my follow-up, because I never heard from them whether they saw the presentation. And sometimes those people will say, oh, you know what? I got so busy and I didn't have time to watch it. How do I get to the presentation again? And because I followed up, now I can redirect them back to the presentation. Okay, so that's one way to follow up if people haven't gotten past step 2, which is the presentation. Now, if people have gone through all the steps and maybe it just wasn't the right time for them, I'm just checking in to see how things are going. Hey, this is Josh. How are things going? Do you have time for a call? And I want to catch up with the person. Has anything changed in your work life? What's going on? How are the kids? How's the family? I'm just doing a simple check-in to see if they're open or not, because sometimes maybe 6 months ago they weren't open, but now they are open. Okay, so make sure you are following up, because not following up is costing you a fortune. So guys, that is my training for today. We were right at an hour. This is recorded. It will be posted in the back office. But again, only do what makes you money. Those who expose the most, make the most. Don't slip into management mode. Become a master sorter. Build a list. Schedule your grand opening or your launched event. Make sure you're using this universal system of mastering the invite, the presentation, and then enrollment. Don't forget how to handle objections, the 3 objections we talked about. Become a master at edifying both your upline and your downline, and make sure you're following up, because if you're not, it's costing you a fortune. So thank you guys again for attending this training. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the corporate webinar. So make sure you're there for that. We've got some really exciting announcements and things you will not want to miss. So thank you guys again. Love you all, and see you guys tomorrow on the corporate webinar.